Prices don't usually explode overnight. They move quietly first. A fuel increase here, a shipping delay there, a supplier adjusting rates, and then it shows up in small ways. A product that costs a little more this week than it did last week. A brand that's suddenly missing. A shelf that still looks full, but not quite as consistent as it used to be. In the first few days, most people don't react. You walk into a store and everything feels mostly normal. The shelves are stocked, the options are still there. You might notice a small price increase, but it doesn't feel urgent. It feels temporary. By the third week, the shift becomes clearer. The same shelves are there, but the prices are different. Some items have quietly increased, others have jumped more than expected. A few products become inconsistent, not gone, just unreliable. And that's when the pressure starts to show. Here's the part most people miss.
Rising
Prices don't spike randomly. They follow pressure points. We've seen this pattern repeat across different periods. Inflation cycles, supply disruptions, transport slowdowns. The system doesn't suddenly break. It tightens. And when it tightens, certain items move first. The households that stay calm plan differently. Most households prepare for comfort, not duration. There's a hidden system behind every price tag. It starts with production, moves through transport, and ends at retail. When something changes at the beginning of that chain, it doesn't stay there. It moves forward. Fuel costs rise. Transport becomes more expensive. Suppliers adjust pricing. Retailers pass those costs along. And by the time it reaches the shelf, it looks like a simple price increase. But it's not simple. It's the result of pressure building through the system. That's why prices often rise before anything disappears. Stores are designed to stay stocked. They prioritize keeping shelves full. Even when costs increase, availability is maintained for as long as possible. That creates a window where everything looks normal, but the system is already under strain. This is where early-stage pressure signals appear. Small price increases, reduced promotions, fewer discounts, slight inconsistencies in availability. These are not random. They are indicators. Most people ignore them. They wait for something obvious. Empty shelves, clear shortages. But by the time those appear, the advantage is gone. The real opportunity exists earlier, when prices begin to shift, but before behavior changes.
First.
Because once people notice, they adjust. Buying increases, demand rises, and that accelerates the price movement. There's a pattern to this. Prices rise before availability drops, and the items that move first are not random. They are the items people use every day. High turnover essentials, the things that move constantly through the system. This pattern has repeated across different conditions, different regions, different economic cycles. The same types of items always lead the shift. That's the key insight. If something is used daily, purchased frequently, and depends on steady supply, it becomes vulnerable when pressure builds. And when it becomes vulnerable, its price moves first. So the goal is not to predict everything. It's to recognize the pattern. And once you understand that pattern, you can make better decisions. What makes an item resistant to this pressure? What makes something price protected? It comes down to a few factors. First, usage. If something is used every day, demand stays constant. That makes it sensitive to any disruption. Second, dependency. If households rely on it, they will continue buying even as prices rise. Third, shelf life. If it can be stored, people can buy it in advance. That creates an opportunity. And fourth, supply vulnerability. If it depends heavily on transport, processing, or external inputs, it becomes more sensitive to cost increases. When you combine these factors, a clear picture emerges. The items that are used frequently, relied upon heavily, stored easily, and dependent on supply chains are the ones that move first. Based on that framework, these are 12 items that consistently rise in price first when pressure builds. Rice is one of the most consistent examples. It is a global staple, used daily in many households. It has a long shelf life and can be stored easily. Because it moves quickly under normal conditions, it depends on constant replenishment. When costs increase, rice reflects that pressure early. It solves the problem of long-term calories, but it also becomes more expensive quickly when demand stays steady and supply tightens. Flour follows closely behind. It sits at the base of many foods. Bread, baking, thickening. It is flexible and essential. And like rice, it moves continuously through the system. That constant movement makes it sensitive to cost increases. When transport or production costs rise, flour doesn't stay stable for long. It solves the problem of food creation, but its dependency makes it vulnerable. Cooking oil is often underestimated, but it is critical. It is not just food, it is part of the cooking process itself. Without it, many meals cannot be prepared. It is used in small amounts daily, which creates constant demand. And because it is processed and transported, it reacts quickly to cost changes. It solves the problem of preparation, but it is highly sensitive to supply pressure. Beans provide both protein and calories. They are a foundation food. They store well and are used widely. Because they are both nutritional and practical, demand remains steady even when prices rise. That steady demand pushes their price upward early in inflation cycles. They solve the problem of protein access, especially when fresh options become expensive. Lentils are similar, but offer an additional advantage. They cook faster. That makes them more efficient. But their growing popularity and nutritional value also make them sensitive to demand shifts. As more households rely on them, their price responds quickly to pressure. They solve the problem of efficient nutrition, but their accessibility makes them vulnerable to cost increases. Canned meat provides long-term protein without refrigeration. It is convenient and reliable. Because it requires processing, packaging, and transport, it carries more layers of cost. When those layers are affected, the price moves quickly. It solves the problem of stable protein, but its complexity makes it sensitive. Pasta is simple, but widely used. It stores well and is easy to prepare. It moves quickly through stores, which means it depends on steady supply. When that supply becomes more expensive, pasta reflects it early. It solves the problem of quick meals, but its high turnover makes it reactive. Instant noodles take that a step further. They are fast, cheap, and easy. In uncertain times, convenience becomes more valuable. Demand increases, and when demand increases under pressure, prices follow. They solve the problem of speed, but that same speed creates vulnerability. Sugar is often overlooked, but it is deeply embedded in daily consumption. Beverages, baking, preservation. It moves more than people realize. And because it is both a food and a functional ingredient, demand remains steady. That steady demand causes early price movement. It solves the problem of energy and preservation. Salt seems basic, but it is essential. It lasts indefinitely and is used constantly. It also plays a role in preservation. Because it is inexpensive, people tend to buy it in larger quantities when they anticipate change. That behavior can push prices upward. It solves the problem of stability in food preparation. Powdered milk extends nutrition. It replaces fresh dairy in a shelf-stable form. Because it fills a specific gap, demand can increase quickly when fresh options become more expensive. That demand shift affects its price. It solves the problem of dairy access without refrigeration. Peanut butter combines fat and protein in a single item. It is dense, practical, and easy to use. It requires processing and packaging, which adds cost sensitivity. And because it is widely consumed, it reacts quickly to changes. It solves the problem of efficient nutrition, but its popularity makes it responsive to price pressure. These 12 items share the same characteristics: high usage, high dependency, constant movement, and exposure to supply chain pressure. That's why their prices move faster than others. Stores don't keep large reserves of these items. They rely on continuous delivery. When costs increase, those increases pass through quickly. At the same time, demand does not decrease. People continue buying at the same rate or higher. That creates a gap. And then behavior shifts. Once people notice prices rising, they begin to adjust. They buy a little more. They stock a little earlier. Not out of panic, but out of awareness. That additional demand meets already increasing costs, and that accelerates the price movement. Retailers also adjust. They update pricing in cycles, and sometimes slowly, sometimes in jumps. That creates the appearance of sudden increases, even though the pressure has been building for weeks. This leads to one of the most common mistakes: waiting too long. Most people wait until the increase is obvious, until prices feel uncomfortable, until something is clearly more expensive than it should be. By that point, the adjustment has already happened. They also buy without strategy. They focus on what looks expensive now, instead of what will continue to increase. And they ignore patterns. They react to what they see, instead of what is likely to happen next. A more effective approach is to think in terms of value, not just price. Cost per calorie matters. Cost per use matters. Cost per reliability matters.
Perfect mess.
A food that costs slightly more but provides consistent value over time is often the better choice. Bulk buying can reduce cost, but only if the item is stable and usable. Otherwise, it creates waste. Fuel efficiency also plays a role. Foods that require less energy to prepare become more valuable when costs increase. Balance is important. A mix of foods creates stability. No single item solves everything. Storage matters as well. Buying early only works if the food remains usable. Heat, moisture, and pests can reduce shelf life. Poor packaging allows air exposure. Lack of rotation leads to waste. Storage is not just about keeping food. It is about maintaining its value. Rotation ensures freshness. Proper sealing ensures longevity. Awareness ensures usability. Conditions vary. In warmer environments, heat accelerates degradation. In humid environments, moisture becomes a risk. In colder regions, storage may be easier, but access can be more limited. Urban households depend more on frequent purchasing. Rural households may have more storage capacity, but fewer replacement options. Over time, price increases begin to feel normal. The first few weeks feel like a shift. By the second month, the new prices become familiar. By the third month, they are accepted. This is where positioning matters. If you prepared early, the impact is different. You are not reacting to higher prices. You are operating from what you already secured. That creates stability, less pressure, less urgency, more control. Preparation is not panic. It is positioning. It changes how you experience the situation. Instead of reacting, you observe. Instead of rushing, you decide. That shift creates clarity. Before we close, take a moment to think about your own pantry. Which of these items do you already keep stocked? That answer reveals more than it seems. It shows where you are stable and where you are still dependent on timing. Preparation is not about reacting faster. It's about acting earlier. And when prices move, the households that planned ahead don't just save more, they stay steady. Preparation removes uncertainty.